We will start with the plasma membrane, and also we will know all the ultrastructures and cell membrane and everything in this video. So let's start with the plasma membrane. So this is how it looks in general. Which contains the proteins in this shape, and carbohydrates, fatty acids, phospholipid, phosphate head and tail, okay, and phospholipid bilayers, which contains this structure including head and the tail. So plasma membrane, it is the membrane, refers both to the membrane that surrounds the cell, also the membrane that surrounds the organelles. It is the layer between the external environment and the inside the cell. It's kind of the dividing layer that divides both of this, and it has its functions that are compartmentalizing. It separates the organelles from other stuffs, which we will come to know. And it has a shape, it gives the cell a shape that is a scaffolding shape, and it is the barrier which uh, protects the cell from other and it is like a gatekeeper. It doesn't allows everything to enter the cell. It filters whatever is needed, it allows that, and rest it gets stops in the plasma membrane layer. It works as a mentor which is outside this, and receptors on the membrane signal to other protein inside the cell. It does the signaling work, like the signal will be passed here, it will take on the signal and pass it to the cell inside. And energy transduction is also done by plasma membrane. It has another name, that is the gateway to the cell. If you want to get inside the cell, you will have to go through the plasma membrane. This is a photography of the cell membrane that is seen under the microscope. This. Now, homeostasis is also done by the plasma membrane. What is a cell membrane? Cell membrane, it is flexible, which allows a unicellular organism to move. And homeostasis is a very important topic. It balances the internal condition of the cell, internal and external environment is maintained, also called equilibrium. Okay, maintained by the plasma membrane, controlling what enters and leaves the cell, as it works as a gatekeeper. As we all know, it works as a gatekeeper and filters that everything comes in and allows only those which are meant to be going inside. And there are three models of plasma membrane. First is the lipid bilayer model. Okay, this model explains the structure of plasma membrane given by Overton, Grendel and Gorian. Previously, only indirect information was available to explain the structure of plasma membrane. In 1902, it was observed that substances soluble to lipid could selectively pass through the membranes. Selectively pass through the membranes means, as we have seen, the phospholipid bilayer, the head is hydrophilic and the tail is hydrophobic. Hydrophobic meaning, as we all know, phobic means phobia, the fear of water. Hydro means water, fear. So the hydrophobic, the substances which are, it is hydrophobic, so it doesn't gets interacted with the liquid or hydro. Okay, and in this way they selectively pass through it, and which are hydro, like water soluble things, it stays to the head because it is hydrophilic, which loves water. Subsequently, they observed that the extracted from erythrocyte membrane was twice the amount expected in a single layer was present throughout the surface of the cell. On this basis, they stated that plasma membrane is made up of double layer of lipid molecules. It is this way. The tail faces each other, and in this way the membrane layer is made. This model could not explain proper structure of plasma membrane, but they put the foundation of future models of the membrane structure. They basically put it the basic structure of plasma membrane, but couldn't clarify everything that is present on the plasma membrane. So we will move to the next. This is the second model of plasma membrane, that is the unit membrane. Protein lipid bilayer protein. Okay, this is also known as the unit membrane model, very important. This model was proposed by Davson and Robertson in the year 1935. When surface tension measurement made on the membrane, it suggests the presence of proteins. They discovered that in the plasma membrane, proteins are present. After the existence of protein, the initial lipid bilayer model proposed by them, the first model that we have learned, was modified. They modified the model, which is the lipid bilayer model. It was suggested that the surface tension of the cell is much lower than what would be expected from the lipids. When they are involved, it is not expected such lower surface tension. It may also be observed that if protein is added to model lipid water system, surface tension is lowered. This suggests indirectly the presence of protein. On this basis, Davson and Daniel proposed that plasma membrane contains a lipid bilayer with protein on both the surfaces. Both on the internal and the external surfaces of the plasma membrane, proteins are present. The final model, which described the entire plasma membrane, was the fluid Mosaic model. To explain the structure of plasma membrane, various models have been put forward from time to time, but none was universally accepted in the relationship with the first one, that is the lipid bilayer, lipid model, and the lipid protein model, etc. Proposed model plasma membrane after the fluid Mosaic model. For plasma membrane was proposed, which was universally accepted by all. This was proposed by Singer and Nicholson in the year 1972. This model postulates that lipid and integrated protein are disposed in a sort of mosaic pattern, and all the biological membranes have a cosaic fluid structure where both lipid and protein components are able to perform traditional movement within lipid bilayer. We must remember the year, that is 1972. So now we will learn few key points, that what is plasma membrane. We must remember it is the outermost layer in animal cells. Its thickness is 5 to 8 nm, that is nanometer. It is selectively permeable, serves as outer boundary, as it is the boundary between the external and the internal surface of a cell, allows some substances to cross more easily than the others. The substances which are hydrophobic, I'll discuss this in detail later. Made of phospholipids, proteins, and conjugated molecules. Separate and protect the cell from the external environment. Provide connection between the cell and its environment, also called as cell membrane. Never get confused if they ask you to describe the plasma membrane. We will have to describe about cell membrane, then we will have to describe about plasma membrane. Lastly, we will learn the exact definition of plasma membrane. It is the outermost envelope surrounding the cell that separates and protects the cell from the external environment and provides a connecting system between the cell and its environment is called the plasma membrane. You can form your own definition, but you must include these words which are very important, and these are the building blocks of the plasma membrane. Thank you.